Right. I hope you guys can hear me. So whenever you are getting a question for the literature paper, first and foremost, what you have to do is that you have to read the question several times and understand what is the question is all about. And if you read the question very carefully, you will identify that there is a certain word or phrase or a clause that will help you to construct your answer. If you read this question very carefully, what you can understand here is that evaluate I know why the cage bird sings in relation its depiction of social issues. Depiction of social issues in the world can be taken as the most important phrase that you can identify, and based on that phrase you can construct your question. First and foremost, when you are going to write an answer, you have to have considerable understanding about that particular poem or short story, right? Otherwise you should not start the question, because if you don't have any idea about the question or else the poem or the short story, if you don't have quotations, there is no point of writing that question, because you will not get the maximum mark, right? So first and foremost, you should be clever enough to understand this is the question that I am going to write, and I have enough quotations to prove my answer. And first and foremost, you can ask for a piece of paper and write down whatever the quotations that you are going to select from that particular poem or short story or drama or the novel, and then you can organize your answer properly. It will take 10 to 15 minutes, but that is completely okay. Otherwise, what will happen is that you will write so many things in your answer which are, most of them are irrelevant, and most of them will be repeated again and again. So don't do that mistake. Take your time, organize your answer properly, and make sure to write according to the point. A lot of students are writing out of the point, so definitely they won't get the marks. If you take a poem, if you take a short story, if you take a drama, there will be so many themes. Whatever the questions that they ask from you in the ordinary level examination, they are based on the themes. Now, if you take this question, if you take this poem, actually, I Know Why the Cage Bird Sings by Maya Angelou, American poetry, if you read this very carefully, you may identify that out of all the other minor topics, minor themes, there is one major theme. That one major theme is taken into consideration in this particular question. Try to understand that, right? Out of a lot of minor themes, there is one major theme. So in this question, we have to pay our attention for that. And the second part is that they have asked us about the social issues, not only one social issue, there are social issues. So it is in plural form. It is in plural form. Now, if you have, in my class, I have actually completed this. I completed this poem like long time ago. So you will understand when my explanation is, when I gave my explanation, I told you that in this poem, there are a lot of themes that Maya Angelou tries to touch. But what we have to understand here is that we have to be very careful to think that, okay, these are the social issues and these are the things that I'm going to take into consideration when I am writing my answer. So it will take some time, right? So don't come to sudden conclusions and come to answers. Don't do like that. Take your time. First and foremost, organize your answer. Without having any proper organization, you can't write an answer. It will take some time. Or else you have to write always. You have to get that practice. The more you write, you will get a lot of practice how to write answers, how to construct your answer properly according to the question that they have asked. Writing an answer is not writing a summary. Some students are under the impression that they are writing a summary. Basically, they are not asking a summary, but in order to write the answer, you should know the summary of the poem and the theme of the poem and the quotations. There is no doubt about that. But the question is not about a summary. Summary is a different thing. Question, answering a question is a different. So they are asking a question from the student under the impression that whether the student can identify what is the message. If you take any poem in literature, if you take any short story, any drama, any novel, there is a moral message, whatever the message that the writer has tried to give to the society, give to the audience. That is definitely there. There is no doubt about that. Definitely that part will be there. So don't misunderstand. That question will be there, definitely, right? So you have to write about that. At the same time, what kind of methods, what kind of literary techniques, what kind of poetic techniques, what kind of language techniques used by that particular writer or else the poet or the poetess or else the author in order to pass that message in literature in a creative manner. This is what you have to balance, right? Either your question can be a literature question or else there is a question from language. If they are asking about the language techniques, literary techniques, poetic techniques, your question is based on what you call language part. But here we don't have something like that. We have a literature question where they are dealing with the themes. So we started the poem. We gave some kind of introduction, as I have told you. First and foremost, you have to come with an introductory paragraph. Basically, your introductory paragraph will be different from the other people. That is completely okay, because different students have the writing patterns and they are writing styles, so they are completely different from each other. So that is completely okay, that is totally fine, anybody can understand that. So but basically, if you are writing an introductory paragraph, the basic thing that you have to remember is that you have to include about the poet and the poem. It is much more better that you can include about the date of birth and date of death and all the other information. But even if you don't know that, right, if you can write a small summary about that particular poet or poetess, what kind of movement that he or she belongs to, if she or he has acclaimed some kind of prestigious awards like Nobel Prize or anything like that. So if you can include those things, that will be very much important. That will be very much beneficial when you are writing an answer. So there is no worldwide theory that this is how your introductory paragraph should be. But when we are reading an answer, right, we should get some kind of understanding by reading the first paragraph. This particular student has written this answer by having some kind of a knowledge, right? He has not written this answer like without having any idea at all. So when we read the first paragraph itself, we will get some kind of understanding that, okay, the student is writing an answer with a sense of responsibility. The student has undergone about the whatever the notes, whatever the points about that particular poem, a short story, or else drama, or else the novel. So having all these things in your mind only, you have to answer a question, right? So you will have only 30 minutes to 25 minutes for one question. Basically, the accepted length of a question may be 2 pages with 4 quotations. If you can write more than that, it is much more enough. 4 quotations are much more enough, but we will really appreciate that if you can provide more quotations that, right? So make sure to write illegible, make sure not to write illegible handwriting. Your handwriting should be something recognizable. You don't have to write like neat and beautiful handwriting. It should be recognizable. That's it. I Know Why the Cage Bird Sings is written by the popular American poetess Maya Angelou. If you take Maya Angelou as a character, as a personality, she has shown her cleverness, or else she has shown her ability in different perspectives. If you refer to her, she can be identified as a character who is really good in different fields. She is an author, she is a poetess, she is a news anchor, at the same time she is a presenter, she is a dancer, and she can be taken as a singer as well. So when we refer to her character, she is a kind of a character who has got that dynamic qualities. If you refer to, you can remember these things. You don't have to study these things, right? If you are referring to Maya Angelou, you can remember, you can include all these facts, right? You don't have to simply, study these things, right? So you can remember these things. Actually, if you take this poetess, she is kind of a dynamic character. We don't have a lot of poetesses in our syllabus. We have 3 or 4 poetesses. Actually, most of them are poets. So if you take Maya Angelou as a character, very dynamic character. She has performed in different types of stages, and she has performed in different types of levels when we take. So she's a very dynamic character, very much multi-talented character. She discusses the problem of social discrimination. That is the main problem that we are going to pay our attention here. I hope that you guys can see the screen. Social discrimination can be identified as the major problem. As I have told you in this poem, that is the major problem that she has discussed. Even though the poem is actually presented by using 2 similes or 2 metaphors, make sure to remember that she is discussing about a very grave social issue. That is something very important that you have to pay your attention. And you have to remember that when you are writing answers in her poem, and she uses symbolism very effectively for that purpose. If you take this poem, the entire poem is written based on 2 symbols, that is the cage bird and the free bird. They can be taken as images as well. This problem is addressed with the images of 2 birds, as I have told you, the cage bird and the free bird. The behavior of these birds are symbolically representing about the social discrimination faced by the Black African American citizens in the United States of America. So directly you have stated what is the poem is all about, what is the experience that this particular poetess has actually taken into consideration when she is writing this kind of a poem. Their movements, actions, behavior are symbolizing so many social indifferences they face in their society. So you can understand, I have not noted about social discrimination. As I have told you, that is the major fact. But apart from that, there are other social issues as well. according to the question, we have to show other social issues as well. Please make sure to understand. We have to show other social issues as well, right? So we have explained here. Now, directly we are coming to the question. Free bird can fly any direction it likes. So as I have told you, the entire question is about the behavior of entire poem is about the behavior of the two birds, right? So by referring to that, she is symbolizing the two birds to the black African Americans and white Americans who lived in the American society. Social discrimination, humiliation, ill treatment, neglecting situations are clearly presented if you go through the poem. This is what we are going to discuss. Free bird can fly any direction it likes. It is flying with utmost freedom and happiness. That is the most important word. So if you take Maya Angelou can be taken as a feminist. Please make sure to write them down, because in my question, these things are not there. But I personally think that these things will be very much beneficial for you. She can be identified as a feminist. Who is a feminist? Feminist is a character, a kind of a movement that a lot of women believe that whatever the rights actually enjoyed by men should be given to the women as well, right? Equal payment and equal, responsibilities, equal rights and equal facilities should be given to the women as well. So they always believe that whatever the status that a man will get in a society, same status should be given to the women as well, and they have all the responsibilities and they have all the rights to get that particular valuability or else that status. So those type of people are known as feminists, right? So they always believed about this the independence of women, and women should be treated equally like men. So that type of ideas are known as feminism. Later, the idea of feminism actually developed into a certain extent that today, even in some subjects like political science, economics, these feminist ideas actually can be presented. So Maya Angelou can be taken as a very powerful feminist who always believed that women are equally powerful like men, right? Even though men are trying to humiliate women, even though men are trying to get the male domination in the society, it is not going to happen. Females are also very much dominant like men. She always believed in that, and most of her poems actually clearly presented that idea. And we should not forget that she had to face when she was can I get the explanation you gave earlier about this poem? I didn't give any explanation, Buddha. I didn't give any explanation previously, right? But I can't understand your question. Just send me the question properly. I didn't give any explanation. So this is the explanation that I gave now, right? You can get the recording and you can go through it. The explanation refers to that I'm referring to the background of the poem still. I didn't come to the question state. So the feminist ideas are something very much important. Feminism refers to most of the women, they believe that women also should get equal rights, equal payments, or else equal responsibilities, just like men. They always ask the same, similar, equal space in the society, just like men. So Maya Angelou actually represented that culture. As I have told you, she was mentally and physically harassed when she was a young girl, and she has received a lot of negative nightmares in her life. So as a result of that, those things actually motivated them. Those things actually molded her into a new character. So when we refer to most of her poems, we can clearly understand her suffocation, her mental suffocation, and her mental agony is clearly presented in those poems, right? I Know Why the Cage Bird Sings can be also taken as that kind of a poem, but here she deals with the problem of feminism, the problem of women, at the same time, the problem of entire African American people who lived in America. Right. So that is the background. Those things you have to remember. That is what I said. If you are going to write an answer, please make sure to write about a question or else a poem that you have a considerable understanding. If you don't have any idea about that particular poem, there is no point of writing because you don't know what you are dealing with, right? So make sure to study the poems very carefully. Now onwards, you can select 2 themes, right? Because my personal advice is it is better to get ready for 8 poems under 2 themes. 1 theme you have 4 poems, because each and every theme there will be a 1 question. So if you get ready with 2 themes, it is much more better. You can get ready with 3 themes where you have 12 poems. So it will be much more easier for you to write answers. Some students, they are only getting ready for 4 questions or else 4 poems. And at the end of the day, if one of those questions become much more hard, they will be helpless. Don't do like that. At least get ready for eight poems, right? At least from different sections. Different sections means different themes, right? Then you know that if you miss someone, there is another one to target, right? So that is the way that you have to study. Don't think that I am going to write about nature. I am not going to write about any other themes. It is better that you get a poem from the category of nature that you can handle. But unfortunately, if you get a poem that you cannot handle under that theme, you will face a real trouble. Don't do like that, because at the end of the day, out of all the poems that you have studied in the syllabus, you are going to answer only one poem, right? For more than 2 years, you have studied the syllabus, but unfortunately, you are going to write only one question. That answer should be the best answer that you are going to write, because you have studied more than 2 years, right? Okay, so we will move on. Furthermore, the free bird is there to say that the freedom is something that only belongs to them. So freedom is the most discussed topic actually throughout this poem, because according to Maya Angelou, these Black African Americans, they did not get their freedom to enjoy their life. They were not taken as equal citizens, they were not given equal rights, equal responsibilities. So as a result of that, they suffocated themselves, right? Most of the Black African Americans were not given proper schools or else proper health care due to the skin color, or else we call the complexion. Following quotation explains us about that. The free bird leaps on the back of the wind and floats downstreams. The problem is not giving the freedom to the Black African Americans. The problem is the white Americans are actually controlling that. That is the basic problem that here we discuss, my dear students. Obviously, they know that they are Negroes. They were actually taken as slaves. This is what we are going to discuss when it comes to the problem of industrialization. So at that time period, slavery was a very popular business. If you read books like Robinson Crusoe, you can clearly understand the business of slavery, right? So when you discuss about the industrial society, 17th, 18th century of England. So as a result of that, most of these people actually came to these countries as Negroes, right? That is why even in rap music, you hear the word nigger, right? So nigger refers to Negroes, right? Negroes means their skin color is black. So most of the white people, they believe that most of them are Negroes and they should not be allowed whatever the rights that they enjoy in the society, because those people were taken as like slaves, still slaves, but that is long time ago. Now they are actually settled in that particular country. So we have to act the fact that they are also citizens of the other country. Same thing happened to Sri Lanka as well, when a lot of slaves were actually brought from India in order to work in tea plantations in Jaffna and other areas. So most of the Sinhala people were not able to, not ready to agree with the fact that these Tamils are also part of Sri Lankan citizens, or else they also belong to our nation. That is why still there is a lot of discrimination when it comes to these Tamil people, because we still believe that they belong to the category of slaves. But at the end of the day, these concepts are actually long gone. Now we have to accept the fact that we all are citizens of the same country, whether we like it or not. But unfortunately, most of the so-called developed countries are not ready to accept this bitter truth, right? Most of the so-called developed countries like United States, United Kingdom, France, likewise, like very famous countries, they are not ready to accept this, right? So here, what we can understand the social problem, the first social problem that we can understand is that they were not given equal chance, or else they were not given that freedom to enjoy, right? If you can remember, after the Second World War, right, International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights were actually introduced, right? So as a result of that, a lot of countries actually included human rights and fundamental rights to their constitutions. If you can remember, after the Second World War, they initiated something called they initiate a separate organization, right? So through that organization, they wanted to create that world peace, right? So I think that you may have learned them in the history class. So I don't want to go deeper in that part. So as a result of that, what happened? Most of the countries accepted there is something called human rights and fundamental rights. So they actually included those human rights into their constitution. So they became fundamental rights. In Sri Lanka, in our constitution, we have from chapter number 10 to chapter number 15, I think we have fundamental rights. Fundamental rights means those rights cannot be taken away from anybody. Doesn't matter what is your color or complexion or religion or race or something like that, whether you are masculine or feminine. If you have fundamental rights, the right to follow whatever the religion that you like, right to live in any place that you like, right to get education. Likewise, you have certain rights that cannot be taken away from you. Even your parents can't take them away. So this is what happened. But if you take the American society, this equal chance is not given, right? Most of the black Americans were not taken to the schools where white Americans are studying. So in the universities, and if you can remember, Martin Luther King is the first person, the first lawyer who actually stood up against this, and Maya Angelou also helped him. If you go to YouTube and search his very famous speech, "I Have a Dream," if you listen to that speech, you will get a complete idea about this revolution actually occurred that at that time period regarding the complexion. Right. So this is what we have explained. So here it clearly explains us about the what you call the problem of freedom, right? Yeah, freedom is something actually controlled by most of the white Americans. Right. So we will move on to the next part. I hope that you guys can see the screen. So Jehansa, did we write about this part or else we didn't? Can you please pass me a message? Did we write? All right. Okay. So I will read this in a quick manner. Right. Okay. The situation of the cage bird is totally different from that. The cage bird does not have any, I will read fast, any freedom to move. Its wings are clipped and feet are tied. This symbolically suggests us that the infringement of fundamental rights of black citizens. This is what I have discussed. So this poem is very much special to us because, my dear students, entire poem we have a lot of symbols. Each and every place we have a symbol. Symbol is a very powerful poetic technique where by referring to that particular symbol, Maya Angelou tries to tell a different story. Each and every part of the poem can be taken as symbols. The poem is full of visual images, full of symbols, where when we refer to the certain symbols, we can tell a whole new story by referring only to that symbol, that particular symbol, right? This symbolically suggests us the infringement of fundamental rights of black citizens. They were not given the right to move as the way they like. They are inside a cage, and it symbolizes the American society. These people were living in a cage. That cage symbolically, metaphorically refers to the American society. Most of the people, they did not like to live there because it is a very hostile situation for them. But unfortunately, they did not have any option. They were not given the right to move as the way they like. They are inside the cage. It symbolizes the American society. The bars of the cage are made not from iron, but from rage. Bars of rage. The bars of the cage is actually made from anger. A lot of black African Americans were having a lot of vengeance towards these people, but they didn't have any option. They didn't have any alternative. They had to suffer. They had to go through with this suffocation without having any other solution. This represents us. They are burning anger and suffocation, as you can see here. She has used a powerful metaphor. The cage is narrow. It symbolically explains about the narrow-mindedness that white Americans possess towards these people. Narrow-mindedness. They always believe that even though you lived in this country, you owe to us. You are taken from an outside country. So this country does not belong to you. Can you understand? That was the mentality that they had, right? The only freedom which was still prevailed among them is freedom of expression. We call that freedom of speech. This is symbolically shown to us by the attempt of the cage bird. All the explanations are clearly depicting about the humiliation, ill treatment, and rejection of the black American citizens due to their natural complexion. Please highlight that. I don't know whether you guys have, you guys wrote these things last week. I can't remember, but she says that we completed this. So if you have not completed, please make sure to write down, right? So all the explanations are clearly depicting about the humiliation, ill treatment, and rejection of the black American citizens due to their natural complexion. This phenomenon is even very common in other countries as well in the 21st century. The best examples are Nelson Mandela and George Floyd, who died recently in America due to police brutality. If you can remember the incident, that black African American was actually killed by a policeman of United States of America. Later, the entire nation actually apologized from the black African Americans who lived in that country because of the vicious act that they did, right? So this is something very common, as I have told you. Doesn't matter whether the country is developed or not, it is very difficult to change their mentality and change their attitude towards this. Right now, America is a country which is very much developed, but it is so much pitiful to think that still there are some people who think about this kind of trivial matters, right? There are people, right? So we will move on, my dear students. That is why this poem is so much important, which suggests us the vulnerability of Black African Americans in the society. This is another what do you call social problem? Vulnerability. What do you mean by vulnerability? Vulnerability means the tendency to expose a lot of dangerous situations. That is what we call vulnerability. Vulnerability refers to the tendency of exposing into the danger. Most of the African American citizens, they had that high tendency of exposing a lot of dangerous situations. Even if you don't engage in smuggling and drug trafficking and all, since your skin color is black color, you will be taken into police custody without having no valid reason. They can take like that. The same thing happened to George Floyd as well. Because of his skin color, most of the police people actually try to arrest him. As a result of that, as a result of the brutality, he unfortunately died. At the end of the day, he didn't do anything, but because of his skin color, he had to face the unfortunate death. This is what happens, right? So you don't have to do anything wrong in that country, because your skin color, you will definitely take into consideration as a culprit, or else as someone who engages in some kind of a bad conduct. We will move on from there. The same form of humiliation is presented in different names like race, caste, religion, and many differences associated with the outside physical appearance. Now, in that time period, in these societies, they have this skin color, the problem of skin color, or else the complexion. But in Sri Lanka, we have the same problem in different manner. We discuss about the caste system, we discuss about the religion, we discuss about the race, right? So we treat people in different perspectives based on these things. So here we have the same problem in the world, but in different angles. If you take the countries like India, they take all these physical, they take all these religious and mental differences, caste differences in a huge manner. I don't know whether you have watched the movie called PK by the movie PK by acted by who is that actor? I can't remember his name, right? So if you watch that movie, you can clearly understand how people refer to religions and what kind of mentality that they have towards their religion and faith, and how they try to humiliate and how they try to exploit innocent people by referring to these mythical and mystical things, right? So very good example if you take India as a country. So following quotation of the cage bird is a clear depiction of the above mentioned suffocation and ill treatment faced by the American citizens each and every single day of their lives. So this is the problem that we are going to discuss. Make sure to remember the question. The question deals with the problems actually faced by these innocent people, right? Okay, so I will move on to the next part. I hope that you guys have completed, right? Okay, Yahansa, did we write this part as well? Did we complete? Please pass me a message. Did you write? All right, okay, so you can start from here, right? If you have any questions without having any second thoughts, please make sure to ask, right? If you have any questions, if you have any arguments, you can always bring your arguments, no worries, right? I hope you guys can see the screen, right? So we will start. So here we discuss, but a bird that stalks down his narrow cage. I told you that narrow cage refers to the narrow-mindedness of these white Americans. Can seldom see through his bars of rage. Can seldom see through means they are watching their bright future, or else very few amount of people will get the chance to achieve some kind of success in their lives, even though they have highly educated. Now, if you take a person like Martin Luther King, he's a lawyer, but after his law examinations, when he went to appear in the court, right, most of the lawyers, they did not recognize him, saying that they cannot see him, right? They cannot see him reverse, so you are not recognized in the court. So he was highly upset, right? He was highly upset. So that is why he actually started this revolution based on the problem of racism, right? Down his narrow cage, can seldom see through his bars of rage. So this bars of rage is a very powerful metaphor where, according to the poet, as I have explained to you previously, these bars are not made from iron. Now, normally, if you take a cage, bars are made from iron or else metal. They are metal bars, right? They are made from metal. But here, it's a very beautiful metaphorical, what do you call, usage, where they say that his bars of rage, all these Black African Americans are with full of anger, but they don't have any option. His wings are clipped and feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The only freedom that they were given is that the freedom of expression. So this particular lady, or else we call the poetess, is taking maximum advantage of that. If you take Sri Lankan writers, I don't know whether you have heard about a person called um, uh, S. Mahind, right? S. Mahind Thero, who did the same thing, right? Who did the same thing. He wrote a lot of poems actually regarding the what do you call about our nation, and it gave some kind of feelings to young people to have some kind of faith about our motherland, right? So same thing actually done by her, right? She stood up to discuss about these problems in a creative manner. Martin Luther King actually discussed the problem in a political perspective, but Maya Angelou actually discussed about the same problem in literature point of view. On the other hand, the situation of the white Americans are explained by the poetess in the next stanza. So the entire poem can be taken as a very powerful contrast, right? Very powerful contrast. So complete poem can be taken as a contrast. Whatever the qualities that we can see from the cage bird cannot be seen from the free bird. That is what we call contrast. The free bird is waiting for another breeze. Here the breeze may be symbolically suggesting a new regime, a new political era, where the power will be still vested upon them, right? So if you can remember, Barack Obama is the first, after Abraham Lincoln, rather, Barack Obama is the only person who had that quality. Then later, throughout, even today, we can see that they are trying to keep their president as a white collar person, right? So that is their mentality, right? So they want to continue that legendary behavior, right? So that is what we can see. New political era where the power will be vested upon them. So with that new political era, what will happen? The freedom and all the other essential components of these Black African Americans will be ruled by them. That is what they explain, right? So nobody will challenge their authority. And the fat worms waiting on the dawn bright lawn is symbolically suggesting the opportunities which were curtailed from Black Africans and how white Americans are enjoying them without any equal treatment at all from the society. Fat worms means right worms. Fat worms refers to these opportunities. All these opportunities are grabbed by the white Americans in the society, because the reason is that uh, Black African Americans were not given equal chance. Equal treatment is not given in the society. This is what I call the infringement of fundamental rights. Equal rights were not given. Right. So we will move on from there. I hope you guys can understand. Right. The cage bird and how white Americans are enjoying them without any equal treatment at all from the society. The cage bird will never taste a fat worm from the ground, even it like to do so. This is what Martin Luther King fought for: equal rights and equal opportunities in the society, which will be determined by their knowledge and talent, not by their complexion. That should be determined by their knowledge. So if Barack Obama is a knowledgeable person, if he is the right choice for the presidency, he should be given that chance. We should not tell that no, you are a black color president, so you cannot be a president, right? You cannot come to that type of arguments, right? If you take Lakshman Kadirgama in Sri Lanka, because of him only we got Vesak Poya Day and Poson Poya Day as holidays. He is actually a Tamil person. He never wanted to do that kind of a service to our motherland, but he was actually representing Sri Lanka, even though he is a Tamil person. So he is the one who discussed about this problem, and as a result of that, today Vesak Poya Day and Poson Poya Day can be identified as what do you call mercantile and public holidays in Sri Lanka due to him, because of him. He is the one who took the initial steps for that. So doesn't matter what is your color, what is your complexion. Doesn't matter whether you are a Muslim or Sinhalese or Tamil or whatever. The most important thing is that whether you what kind of contribution that you are going to give for the society, and whether you are going to uplift the society from the current standpoint. That is the important part. This is what Martin Luther King fought for: equal rights and equal opportunities in the society, which will be determined by their knowledge and talent, by not their complexion. The idea is symbolically brought into the poem by Maya in the following quotation. Furthermore, the free bird is still claiming that the freedom of the entire universe belongs to it. This is symbolically shown in the last line of the following stanza. So still we are dealing with these social problems, curtailing all these freedom, infringement of fundamental rights, the cruel treatment to people. These are the social problems actually we discussed in the poem, which are relevant to the question. If you have finished, you can pass me a message. We can go to the next point. Hurry up. I hope you guys have completed. So we will move on to the next part. I got the message. So is there anyone who is still writing? Hurry up. Right. So we will move on to the next part. Right. Yeah, so that is a very good question. This poem is a complete political poem. This poem can be identified a completely, very much completely political poem, because like very much political poem, because the reason is that she discusses about the problem related to politics. But on the other hand, having said that, I have to mention that in this poem she mentions about the racism as well. At the same time, this independence of women, the same problem is also discussed here, but in your syllabus they have not paid that much attention towards that. But if you read the poem very carefully, if you refer to the internet, in several places they mentioned that she discussed about this freedom of women. That is why she is known as a feminist. So in most places, but in your syllabus they have just said that this poem discusses about the problem of racial discrimination and racism in a creative manner. But on the other hand, it is completely political. The idea is completely political, right? She is writing against these political agendas and political regimes who are actually influenced these white Americans to do such things. The best example, the very recent example I discussed, the George Floyd's incident. The situation is totally different with the cage bird. The cage bird is standing on a grave of dreams. The same happiness cannot be taken by the cage bird, right? Here, the use of language, we call that diction. Use of words, we call that in literature as diction. The diction of the poetess is quite remarkable, where she uses very powerful language. Grave of dreams, right? When you take a dream, where grave where you don't have any life, but when you say the word dream, there is life, because we dream to achieve something, right? You want to buy an Apple phone, or else you have a dream to go to take 9As or something like that. So dream is always alive. So any person who is alive can dream. The dead bodies cannot dream, right? Can't you understand that? So the language is very much powerful. So these innocent black African Americans, they have a lot of dreams to achieve. But unfortunately, those things will never come true because they are dreaming on a graveyard. In a graveyard, there is no life at all. So very powerful use of language. So these black African Americans have dreams which belong to the graveyard. At the end of the day, they have the right to dream, but they don't have any right to achieve them. They were not given any chance to achieve them. They can dream about them. There is no doubt about that. Even a beggar can dream, right? But when it comes to the possibility of achieving, the things are not going to be like that. So these are the social problems. Now, up to now, we have discussed about the freedom, the problem of freedom, the problem of taking away their fundamental rights, and the problem of expression. They were not given proper expression. They were curtailed from their fundamental rights. Those are the basic problems, right? You can include them, right? Here we find power of symbolism, through metaphorical language. Dreams are keeping us alive. Cage bird is alive because it has that freedom to dream. Even though they have lost that, cage bird is in a continuous revolution to find out, to achieve somewhere that spark will be. Somewhere in the world, there will be that spark where I can go towards my dream, right? That is why Maya Angelou is writing this poem, right? But this poem is actually written long time ago, but still we can see in American society, still they have this problem, right? Still people are suffering from this problem. Unfortunately, all its dreams are belong to the graveyard where there is no life. right? So graveyard is a place there is no life. Dream is something that you want to achieve. This symbolically suggests us that Black Americans dream, dreams will never come true. This is a clear depiction of the social injustice. There is another problem, social injustice, samaja asadharanatva. They don't have freedom to dream even though the bird sang that song, no one will respond to that. The cage bird is in terrible fear and depression. This expression again shows us the anxiety and fear seen among the Black African Americans, right? The anxiety and fear, they can't even talk. They can't even talk publicly, right? They will be killed. So very much suffocating situation, as you can understand, right? Sometimes it fears to its own shadow. The cage bird is having bad dreams because its future is unknown to him. They don't have any idea about their own future, right? Following quotation from the poem also explains about the symbolism used in the poem to show the pitiful state of the cage bird, which ideally portrays the common social issues in the world. What are they, right? We are humiliating, we are neglecting, ill-treating people based on their complexion. Even though they are living in the same society, we have curtailed their human rights and fundamental rights. They were not treated equally in front of the law, in front of the society, right? And social injustice can be seen all around the world. They were not given equal chances, right? These are the basic social problems. They are fundamental right. They are human right to expression. Freedom of speech is not given to them, right? So they were not recognized in the society. These are the social problems. This is what you have to discuss. But a cage bird stands on the grave of dreams. His shadow shouts on a nightmare scream. Even the cage bird is actually scared to its own shadow as well. His wings are clipped and feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The only option that the cage bird has got is singing, right? Singing is the only solution that the bird has got. So the bird is trying to sing. So Maya Angelou symbolically represent the fact that I have only one thing to do. I don't have any physical power. I don't have any political power. I don't have any any other powers. The only weapon that I have is my pen, right? So Maya Angelou can be taken as the cage bird, but the cage bird never gives up, right? The cage bird never gives up. I will use my pen for the betterment of this world, for the freedom of this world, right? I will do my level best with what I can. I can't go with Martin Luther King and I can't shout because I am a woman. But what I can do is I will help to this struggle. I will help to this revolution with what I have. So cage bird, even though its feet are tied, even though its wings are clipped, the cage bird is not waiting silently. At the end of the day, we have to give a clap to that encouragement. We have to appreciate that encouragement, right? Feet are tied, right? So wings are clipped, cannot move here and there, right? And can understand that cannot move here and there, but yet until the last moment, that encouragement, is actually kept us alive. The hope, right? If you don't have the hope, what else we have got, right? You can lose everything in your world, but you have to have a hope. If you lose hope also, there is no point of living. Hope is something that the cage bird has received, right? So it's working really hard. So it's trying to sing the song that nobody has heard yet. The sound of the song can be heard from the distant hill, but still nobody has responded, right? This is not the first time that she has actually sang this song. I know why the cage bird sings. It's not the first time, right? So in South Africa, when it comes to Nelson Mandela, if you take Bob Marley, if you take Mahatma Gandhi, right? So the song is actually heard from several places, but the problem is whether people are ready to listen to this song again and again. Whether we have to write this song again and again, because suddenly people will forget all these things. That is the question. This is not the first time. I know why the cage bird sings. Not only Maya Angelou, even you know why the cage bird sings. The cage bird is singing for freedom. The cage bird is asking for that equal rights, right? The cage bird is singing about that social discrimination. Not only Maya Angelou, even you know why cage bird sings, right? So not only Maya Angelou, even we know why the cage bird sings, right? So that is the idea. Even the audience should know that, okay, cage bird is singing because of this. cage bird is singing because of this. This is how you have to understand, right? Okay, so hurry up and finish it off, then we can go to the next part. Right, I hope that you guys have completed, so we will move on to the next part. Right, so you can write down, please make sure to write down. Taking screenshots will not work, because like the more you write, the you can remember, right? The things that we write, we can very easily remember them. So that is why I'm asking you to write down. The more you write, at the end of the day, you will remember these are the points that I wrote, and you will remember the spelling, and you will remember new words. So taking a screenshot and reading this won't help. I'm pretty sure it is not going to work, right? So writing is the best thing that you can do, right? You have to perform writing. When you write, you will definitely improve, right? You will definitely improve, right? So right, so we will move on. Is there anyone who is still writing? Do you need some time? I can allocate you some time if you need. Right. Okay. So I hope you guys have finished. Right. So we will move on to the last part. The quotations which mentioned above is a clear indication of the grave social issues that can be found in the society, which has been not addressed by the human beings themselves. As the question suggests, the poem discusses about the social degradation. All right. These are the problems that we are going to discuss one by one, right? So you can pay your attention. So I will highlight them. See the questions, see the social issues that we have discussed. Right. So here we have, right. Social imbalance, inferiority, social degradation, and the infringement of fundamental rights. These are the things that we have discussed throughout the question, right? Due to their complexion, caste, race, or any other factor. The evaluation of this poem can be concluded with the positive note that the poetess has done her level best to update the universal issue in a different perspective or angle, right? So she has done her level best, but there are other things that we have to pay our consideration as well, right? So we have completed one question. Now we are going to start the other question. So hurry up and write down, and you can write down the explanation of the other part as well. You can read the question here. Write an analysis of the poem Fear, highlighting adults' responsibility for, and they are concerned about the younger generation, right? This is the next question that we are going to discuss from the paper 2021 ordinary level paper, last year paper. We are taking all the questions one by one and we are going to discuss them. So I think, if I am not mistaken, this is the fourth question that we are going to discuss. You can write the introductory paragraph of that one as well. Hurry up and finish it off, then we will start that question. Hurry up. Right. Okay. So I hope that you guys have completed. So this poem is by Gabriela Mistral. She's a very popular poetess because of the Nobel Prize. She won the Nobel Prize. Actually, she is the first Spanish American author to receive the Nobel Prize in literature. Nobel Prize can be taken as the most prestigious prize that one can win when it comes to the category of literature or any other field, any other academic field. She will always be seen as a representative figure in the cultural history of the continent. Obviously, yes, most of the poems actually written by her explains about the problems regarding the children or else the parental love. Most of the things are very much into social situations, right? One of the best known Latin American poets of her time, a dedicated educator and engaged and committed intellectual, Mistral defended the rights of children, as I have told you, women and the poor, the freedom of democracy, and the need for peace in times of social, political, and ideological conflicts, not only in Latin America but in the whole world. The poem Fear is an inner conflict between a mother and her fear of her growing child. She is showing too much concern on her child. The mother is worried about her child that she would become like a swallow and fly off to her own world. The whole poem is about a mother's emotional fear over her daughter. She is worried that her daughter may not come back once she moves out. She does not want her society to change her daughter into something different. Her worries are regarding the daughter's adult period, her marriage, and her life with the world. But in this question, they have not necessarily asked about mother's genuine fear, but we have to convert this poem into something different when we are writing answers. So sometimes you may face that kind of situations, my dear students. Now, they have not asked anything about mother's love or mother's genuine fear or something like that. What they ask is that responsibility for, and they are concerned about their younger generation. So here, mother should be taken as the generation of adults. A mother can be taken as an adult here, not only a mother, right? Each and every adult in the society has got that responsibility with them in order to guide their children towards the correct path. At the end of the day, if they ruin their life, definitely it will ruin the entire country as well. So that is one of the major duties that adult may have. Now, if you take this into example, that is why your uncles, aunties, grandparents, and grandmothers, they are advising you, because that is their responsibility, right? That is their responsibility. So this is what we can see. So through this poem, we have to write in a different perspective, in a different angle rather. This is what we are going to discuss. This is what we are going to discuss. So adults, so mother's character will be converted to an adult. So this even though this question is about adults, we don't find any adult here, only mother is there. So you have to convert the question into the perspective of the mother's character, into the perspective of an adult. So as an adult, not as a mother, we can say as an adult, what kind of responsibility that she has and how she tries to do that when it comes to her daughter, and the concern, how she has represented that concern that she has towards these young people when they are misleading them, when they are going towards the wrong path, right? As adults, what kind of responsibility that we have as teachers, as parents, as what do you call, religious leaders, what kind of responsibility that we have, how we are going to take our students to the correct path, how we are going to do that. This is what you have to pay your attention. So here you have to change the ideology of the poem a little bit, because otherwise you may say that, sir, here we don't have any adults, we have a mother and daughter. So how we are going to answer this type of question? So please make sure to take mother here as an adult. So representing that adult, you can say that this is their responsibility, right? This is their responsibility. So basically in this poem, we have three powerful metaphors, a swallow, a princess, and a queen. So the entire poem is written based on three beautiful metaphors. Basically, we have three stanzas in the poem. So each and every stanza, we have a very powerful metaphor. Number one, swallow. Swallow represents the freedom, the ultimate freedom that the daughter will get when she becomes a teenager. So as a result of that, mother is in constant fear that she will definitely lose her daughter due to that freedom, right? Too much of freedom can bring disaster. Number two, in the second stanza, we discuss about the metaphor of princess, where princess refers to most of these young girls and young boys will be attracted towards these luxurious things, right? Things that that they cannot afford in their real life. So as a result of that, sometimes they may start some kind of unwanted relationships with strangers. As a result of that, sometimes she may or he may destroy his or her life. So that is what we call, that is the genuine fear that she has received in the second stanza. In the third stanza, she discusses about the character of being a queen. The entire society will put a throne onto her head, and as a result of that, she will get a lot of responsibilities. The people will give a lot of unwanted responsibilities and pressure on her. As a result of that, sometimes she will lose her mother, right? She will lose her mother. This is the entire idea. This is the entire idea. So, but our question is not about that. Again, I am telling you, don't misunderstand. Our question is not about that. Now we have to compare these three genuine fears into adults. As an adult, what should we do? If they give them too much of freedom, what will happen? They will definitely ruin their life. So as an adult, what is your responsibility? Right? What is your responsibility? Right? As an adult, don't forget the question. Highlighting adults' responsibility. So our responsibility is to protect them. So same thing is done by this mother. Our responsibility is to protect them. So that is why we are actually limiting your freedom. That is why your mother is checking your mobile phone, right? That is why your father is coming to take you to the class, and that is why he is taking you out of the class as well. That kind of protection, that kind of freedom is given to you because that is their responsibility. Try to understand that that is their responsibility. So compare in that perspective. Can you understand? So you have to change that. Don't write about mother. Take mother as an adult. Take mother as an adult, then you can address the question. Then you can address the question. Right. So I hope that you guys have completed. I will move on to the next part. I'm going to erase this. Right. Okay, so you can write down with my explanation. The entire poem is depicted based on three metaphors, as I have told you. By referring to these three metaphors, the responsibility of the adults, or else they are concerned about the younger generation, is quite impressively illustrated by the poetess. Most of the young teenagers would like to enjoy freedom in their lives once they become teenagers. Most of them won't enjoy the usual association of their family members, always would like to have a new relationship, new aura, a new aura of relationship among them, right? So young people are like that, right? So they like to have that type of enjoyment. Give me a second. Right. Right, now you can see the screen. I hope you guys can see the screen. Right, new aura of relationships among them. Now, when you become old, when you come to the age of 17, 16, 18 and 19, you will understand that it is very boring to deal with your parents, right? Because they are old, their ideas are very old. So you will see, you will be exposed from the tuition class or else from the school or whatever positions into different types of new people whom you think may be so much interested and so much knowledgeable than your parents. So as a result of that, you will be attracted towards them. That is what we discuss here, right? Until you are in grade 5 and grade 6, 7, right? Everything will be taken care by your parents, right? So they are the best friends that you have, right? Even a student actually gives you some kind of threatening, you will tell to your mother, you will bring your mother to the school and blame that particular child. That is what you do. But when you come to a certain age, especially when it comes to teenagers, right, they have a different view. They will understand that, okay, parents don't have that much of knowledge about our life, so we have new cliques, we have new relationships. So as a result of that, you will be attracted. That is what happens, right? That is natural scenario. Even I faced the same situation when I was a teenager. Some of the teenagers don't allow their parents to check their private life and associations. This may result due to the actions of the generation gap, right? So they don't like you. You also have privacy, right? None of you will enjoy that when your parents are taking your mobile phone and checking how many WhatsApp messages that you have sent, or else what is the status that you are sharing. So that is your privacy. You will definitely ask the question, I have a privacy of my own. I can share whatever things that I like if your mobile phone is yours, right? So then there is a problem. Can you understand the freedom, the problem of freedom, right? Some of the teenagers don't allow their parents to check their private life and associations. This may result due to their actions of generation gap. However, most of the teenagers will misled due to the unlimited freedom possessed by the society without any invigilation, right? So if you get too much of freedom, definitely it will be ended up with a disaster. If I am not mistaken, yesterday or previous day, I hope that you might have seen that terrible accident that a boy faced when he is trying to wheel his bike. I don't know how many of you have seen that on the news. He was trying to wheel his bike without having proper precautions. At the end of the day, he died, right? A young boy, I think age of 16 or 17, right? You know what you mean by wheeling, right? They try to show off from their motorbike, right? They can do this thing and that thing. So that is something really good. But if you don't wear the proper safety precautions, what will happen? You can die. So can you understand? Too much of freedom can lead you to disaster. There should be some kind of control. Something should control you. Otherwise, you don't know what is the length, what is the depth. You don't have any idea at all. You are still teenagers, but you think you know a lot of things. In this age, you think that I know so many things, but later you will realize that you don't know nothing. Later you will realize that you don't know anything at all. Even though your parents are not in Facebook, even though they are not in social media, they have a lot of experience. They are graduated from the University of Life, right? You will be graduated from University of Colombo, Jayawardhanapura, or somewhere else, but your parents are graduated from the University of Life. So they can very clearly explain, they know that from your behavior, from your facial expressions, they know that what is the situation, what will happen, right? So this is what you have to understand. So their invigilation, their control is something that we need. Even though we don't like that, somebody should control us. Somebody should control, right? That control mechanism should be there. Otherwise, these teenagers, we can't believe them. This careful observance must be done meticulously by the adults. They must try to evacuate the younger generation from the tendency of vulnerability. The concern of above mentioned mother is a clear depiction of an adult's role when it comes to leading children towards the correct path. Loss of parental love and the guidance during the teenage will open up room for negative habits and peer pressure. That is why this mother does not like to offer too much of freedom to her daughter. Countries like Sri Lanka still follows the conventional methods of child upbringing. This have created a number of problems throughout the country. The first quotation explains about the responsibility of an adult, how to handle the freedom of a youngster. I don't have to explain more than that. So we are going to finish from here. If you have finished, you can leave the meeting. And next week, we are going to discuss from there. And make sure to get a printout from the paper 2021. I have sent the paper. And Saturday, we will have the classes for Vendor of Sweets and for your prescribed drama, The Bear by Anton Chekhov. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.